Let's move back into a couple of last places of agreement between Christianity and Islam. Jesus in Islam, very highly respected, especially in the Quran. Unfortunately, the sound does not work in this room. I don't know what's the problem, but usually when I start off talking about Islam, I show this rather interesting Muslim country music video. All right, so country music sung by a Muslim singer, Muslim American. And essentially it is a bunch of Muslims, and if you want I can email the link to you, it's really kind of interesting, but it's Muslim Americans like holding up little posters or cards or whatever, telling Americans what they want them to know. You know, so this couple, we were married, it wasn't arranged. Another family, we've been here for 28 years. Another woman, I'm Latina and Muslim. You know, and a variety of things. But one of the issues is one of the examples is a guy coming out wearing an I Love Jesus t-shirt. All right, so Jesus very highly respected. My personal favorite in the video is this little preteen girl that says, "I hope, I hope Justin Timberlake is in heaven," and her little brother saying, "I hope not." Yeah, and then the other one. Now that you know more about jihad, another boy sitting in front of a plate of broccoli, and his card says, "Broccoli is my personal jihad." But yeah, if you're interested in it, send me an email. I'll send you the link. I wish I would have been able to play it for you, but with the sound up there. So Jesus very highly respected. We talked about how in the Dome of the Rock, found out Dome of the Rock. Sarah asked this question last week. Currently, there have been times in the past where non-Muslims have been able to enter the Dome of the Rock, but non-Muslims currently cannot enter the Dome of the Rock. So you can't get, as a non-Muslim, very close to it. Israel had asked about who starts the Hajj. I can't find out. My guess is it's probably some sort of Saudi official, but I've tried to Google and then find out some things, but I just can't pin that one down. But anyway, right, so Jesus is a prophet in Islam. Right? He's referred to as a messenger. There is a slight difference in Islam between being a prophet and being a messenger. Messengers would be people like Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, where there are a lot of other prophets. Other words are used for Jesus, like the Word of God. Sometimes Jesus is referred to as Messiah. Again, a lot of difference, right? When Christians talk about Jesus being the Word of God, they're talking about Jesus being divine. Well, Muslims don't mean that when they call him the Word of God. It's more referencing the prophetic message of Jesus. But places of agreement. All references to Jesus in the Quran are positive. And so there's another place where, there is some agreement between Jews and Muslims. Some important disagreement that we'll talk about here in a little bit. Another place of agreement is the belief that Jesus is born of a virgin. The Quran asserts Jesus' virgin birth. In the biblical text, the Gospel of Luke, and the Gospel of Matthew as well, the importance of the virgin birth is to emphasize Jesus' divinity. Where in the Quran, that is not the point being made. Right? It's more about his special nature, or his special nature as a prophet, not that he's divine. Of course, the question though becomes, well, why aren't other prophets born of a virgin if this is just a special thing versus, the divinity? And also another place, of course, because one of the things that's emphasized in the Quran is that the gospel is given by God, right? The Gospels, So if the Gospels assert that Jesus is divine in his virgin birth, and that's true, because there are manuscripts that take it back far enough where we can say there wasn't time to distort the message by later Christians. It's clearly there in Luke chapter 1 and 2. What's the conclusion there that you should draw? I mean, if that truly is given by God. But when Muslims talk about Jesus being born of a virgin, it's slightly different what they mean. Shared disregard for certain Christologies. Christology is a theological term related to how people talk about the nature of Jesus. And so to say that Jesus is divine and human is a Christology. Well, there have been a variety of Christologies throughout Christianity, in Christian history, related to that issue. How is Jesus both God and human? And Muslims, Islam developing at the time that a lot of these are going around, rejected a lot of those and were in opposition to things like Arianism, Monotheism. Now, of course, with that is the rejection of Jesus as God in any form, but there is the possibility to talk about how, well, there's certain things that Muslims reject about Jesus that Christians would reject about Jesus or claims about Jesus. And then finally, although some Muslims refer to Christians as tritheists, there is that shared monotheistic heritage. So there are some places for agreement, some places for positive dialogue and conversation where, in trying to share the gospel with a Muslim, you're not starting from scratch. You're not, not completely separated like you would when we talk about Hinduism and Buddhism, right? There's some basic reality differences about the universe and where it came from, right? There aren't those kind of distinctions between Muslims and Christians.